Hello and welcome to my kitchen. Tonight I'm going to walk you through prepping and cooking a family-friendly recipe. Tonight I'm feeding my family tater topped chicken pot pie. We'll be back later. Charlotte will be back later to share her review with you. But what I like to do before I start making a new recipe is go ahead and prepare all my ingredients and get those together. So this recipe is from Star over at TheSkinnyishDish. You can head over to her blog, TheSkinnyishDish, and look up this recipe and get all the ingredients and the how-to from her. But what I'm going to show you is how I prep it and how easy it is. It is a casserole dish, so I've got my oven preheating, and I've got all my ingredients out in front of me, but I'm going to chop and measure them, and then I will be back and walk you through the preparation of this dish. So, I'll see you soon. Okay, so I am back. What I have done is I went ahead and portioned out everything I needed for this recipe. This is a new recipe for my family, and so, oh, do you see that? Ant trap. Oh, they're driving me crazy. Crazy, the little teeny tiny ants. But anyway, what I'm gonna do, so these are all the ingredients. This chicken right here, I prepped yesterday in the crock pot, so I just threw in like 4 chicken breasts and some chicken broth and celery salt and minced onion and just let it cook all day, and because I knew I would need it for this recipe. So here are all the ingredients, okay? Now, I'm going to get going here for you. The first thing that we need to do is we need to melt the butter right here. This is 2 tablespoons of light butter. I used the Land O'Lakes with canola oil, and we need to turn our pan on. And then do you guys save baby spoons? I save baby spoons for like this kind of stuff, like getting little things out of jars. So we're just gonna let the pan warm up and melt our butter. See how nice that worked? I know some of you may be thinking, girl, I do not want to wash all those dishes. But I find that my recipe and my cooking goes a lot smoother when I portion out everything. So while we're waiting for that butter to melt, I should have had my pan preheated, but I didn't. The next step is we are going to add the onions, the celery, and the garlic. Now she called for 4 cloves of minced garlic. I had like a pre-minced garlic in the jar for convenience, and so we'll do that. So then what we do is we go ahead and we're gonna cook these over a medium-high heat until they're tender, the onions and the celery, and then I'll add in the garlic. So let's see here. We're almost melted with our butter, but for the sake of time, I am gonna come back to you once the veggies are softened. So you can see my butter is melted in my pan. I'm gonna let it heat up just a little longer. So it looks like it's ready. I'm gonna go ahead and add in the onions. I know, here I am making a dish with onions. Some of you may know that my daughter does not care for onions. So, and then we'll just go ahead and give those a little cook. Just mix them around, get them kind of buttered. And once they are tender and soft, I will come back and add in the garlic. Okay, so my my onions and green peppers are tender. I'm gonna go ahead and add in my equivalent of 4 cloves of garlic. And we're just gonna cook this for a little bit longer until that garlic is fragrant. Okay, I think we're there. I turned down the heat just a little. Did you see that onion just jump out of my pan? I'm not a messy cook. I really think the food is against me. So at this point now, what we need to do is we need to sprinkle over 1/4 cup of flour, which I measured prior. So we're gonna sprinkle this over the veggies. We're gonna make the chicken pot pie filling. Okay, so we're gonna put that over. We're gonna go ahead and mix that in well. And then directions say to cook for 1 minute. What you want is you want your veggies coated with it. Stir very well and cook for 1 minute. Then we're gonna pour in our chicken broth. Scrape off the bottom of my pan. Okay, all right, so I think we're there. We're gonna go ahead and it says add the chicken broth while whisking. Oh, a whisk. Don't be afraid to take whisks. Little cooking joke. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna pour in our chicken broth. We are going to keep whisking. Whoa, we're gonna make sure it gets in the pan. That chicken broth was against me. Okay, so we are just gonna keep on whisking until the broth gets thick like gravy. And then you add in 2 cups of plain unsweetened almond milk. I'm sure if you had another milk, you could use that. So, just gonna keep stirring here. We're thickening up. I don't know if you can see that. We are thickening up. So then you add the milk and you continue to whisk until the gravy starts to boil. So, there we go. It's getting thick. I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit for a second. I gotta pour my milk. This is the milk that I use. I get this from Walmart. I also, if I am shopping at Aldi, that's the milk you hear pouring into my cup measure. I also buy Aldi's almond milk. We don't drink a lot of cow's milk in our family, although our cousins are dairy farmers. We do eat our fair share of cheese. Okay, so you can kind of see how that has thickened up in there. So we're gonna go ahead and add in our milk also. We're gonna stir that in. I don't know how long this thickening process takes, but I feel like waiting for gravy to thicken is like watching paint dry, so I'll be back when it's thick. Okay, so it took about 10 minutes. I've been letting it boil a little bit to thicken, but I am back. And so now we're gonna reduce our heat down to low, and we add in the cooked, chopped or shredded chicken, and the mixed vegetables. This is just like a green beans, carrots, peas, and corn mix. So we're gonna throw that in. And then our seasonings, which were thyme, seasoned salt, and pepper. And while this was thickening, I went ahead and cleaned up my kitchen. So I took all those little bowls that you saw that I had all my ingredients in, and I started the dishwasher. So then the dishwasher will be done by the time we are ready to put our dinner dishes in it. So maybe, close enough. So we're just gonna go ahead and mix this together. The next step is to go ahead and simmer this for just a few minutes. And when that's done, I'll be back and show you our final step before we put it in the oven. Okay, so I am back with you. I have all my ingredients for the pot pie portion of the casserole. I have a 9x13 baking dish that I have sprayed with some cooking spray. And so what we're gonna do is we are just going to go ahead and pour our chicken pot pie mixture in. It's really good. Grab my spoon, get all the little extra bits. Smells fabulous. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and spread that out in the pan. And the last portion is to top with 2/3 of a cup of reduced fat shredded cheese. So what I'm gonna do to go ahead and weigh that is I'm gonna put it on my scale. I'm gonna zero it out, and then I am going to do 56 grams on the top of this. That would be the equivalent of 2/3 of a cup. I need a little bit more. best part is we place our tater tots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 10 rows of 6. And then you bake in the oven until your tater tots are crispy. So, I've never made this. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm sure it's going to be delicious. Let's see, there's 6. So, all I'm doing is I'm adding my tater tots. I might have to get them closer together for my rows. Let's see, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to have to squish them together. So, we'll be back later tonight. I'll show you a picture of the product of the finished dish when it comes out of the oven. But other than that, we'll be back later tonight with Charlotte's dinner review, where you hear my 7-year-old's candid thoughts on what we made for dinner. Talk to you later.